Welcome back for our second season of the Breakfast Club Beat, coming to you from the Brand Builder Studios in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. For those of you that know me personally, know that the world of recovery and addiction are so very close to my heart. And today, one of the most amazing, wonderful people that work in the recovery space, Judy Goodwin with the Blanchard Institute, is our guest. This is going to be fantastic because you do work that changes people's lives every day. And I wanted you to come on today to share a little bit about what Blanchard Institute is and your role and what you do to help literally find families at their darkest moments when they don't know how to put one foot in front of the other, find joy and light again in life. So welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yay!
Jenn, only you could get me to do this. Even though I do it, and I've done it every day for 35 years. And I am that family member. Mm-hmm. So I know that families are tired, they're angry, they're scared, and when they have a loved one that struggles with illness of addiction or mental health, it is a journey that I've gone on with so many over the years, and they leave special places in my heart. You are one of them.
Yep.
And so it's very important that they find the appropriate help. There's a lot of treatment options out there.
Which I think is what Blanchard does such a great job on. So why don't you share a little bit about what Blanchard was founded on and what they are able to do to help families?
Focusing on the family is the heartbeat of what the Blanchard Institute does. We treat the identified patient, we treat their illness, but we also embrace that family and help them start making healthier, drawing healthier boundaries, making healthier communication efforts, starting to take care of themselves, taking the recovery hat off and putting the wife or the husband hat back on. Becoming the mom or the dad again, instead of chasing down how much money they're spending on the drug of choice or where they're at or what time they're getting home or whether they got home. And so that's the important thing. I think what makes Blanchard special for me, I left a 22-year career with Atrium and went with Blanchard because of the family program. And I thought to myself, somebody's finally doing this right. You know, they're treating those people that have been impacted so in so many ways. Mm-hmm. Our family members are exhibiting signs and symptoms of PTSD.
Absolutely.
They really are. They're
Most
scared
definitely.
to answer the phone.
Oh, yeah.
They cry at the drop of a hat.
Yep.
They cuss at the drop of a hat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, their emotions haven't been regulated in so long. And if you did an MRI on their brain and you did one on the client's, there wouldn't be much difference.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that for sure.
They're as focused on the client as the client is focused on what they're doing.
You just said it right, for sure.
Yeah, and so it's very important that we kind of realign. I know our founder, Ward, he would say realignment time. And it's true. And so we have a free family workshop that we do once a quarter, and we do it free to the community. You don't have to have someone that's in treatment to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's one thing I really enjoyed when I got connected to you guys and started down my path on the family recovery, how you guys were so open to anyone being able to come into a meeting. You don't have to have a family member that's already in recovery. You might have a family member or a friend that you're concerned about. you don't know how to approach the subject. It could be so many different things in that space, but you land in a place like Blanchard that is going to help you navigate how to get the answers that you need for your unique situation.
We also give them a support group every Thursday night.
Yes.
The same. It's free to anybody that wants to be there. It's led by licensed therapists. So it's not like a support group at your local, I'm an Al-Anon survivor, so let me tell you, they saved my life. But these are licensed therapists that are going to help walk you through some of this that you're struggling with.
How long have you guys had the Thursday night?
Ever since we've been open.
Which is how long?
February of 2017.
February 2017. Yeah,
It'll soon be 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Why don't we take a step back and for someone that has never had to walk in the shoes of someone that's in addiction or in recovery or helping a loved one get to that place, like, give someone a nutshell of what Blanchard can do for people that are really struggling with their drug of choice.
For the client or the family?
For both.
For both. Interrupting. I mean, I like to say we interrupt
chaos, don't you?
We interrupt the chaos that surrounds the family.
Yeah.
We interrupt the addiction or the mental health disorder that the client's suffering from. And if we can interrupt it and get this person off of the substances and help them start feeling good about themselves, part of why they keep using is because of the shame and the guilt that surrounds this illness.
Yeah.
And why we treat this illness any different than cancer or diabetes is beyond me. It's an illness.
Yeah.
And once treated and once in remission, life gets wonderful again.
Yeah, it does.
And so the families tell us that it's been so hard to focus on themselves or other children or other family members because so much of their energy is spent dealing with what happens when people are drinking too much or they're using a drug.
Sure.
So I like to think, somebody asked me one time, why do you do what you do? Mm-hmm. And because I've been doing it a long time.
Yes, you have.
And I remember the most vivid memory I have is that, I was raised by an alcoholic father, military guy, very disciplined person, but he was diagnosed with alcoholic rages. And so when he drank, he got mean. And the people that he hurt were the people in that house, his wife, his children. And so I grew up putting together a survival plan to be in that house. And I was 12 years old when I went to my first Baptist revival. And I'd always been to a Methodist church, and we didn't act like that.
Yeah.
We weren't hooting and hollering. We weren't raising and jumping up and down. But let me tell you, I was buying into it, and the Spirit was alive, and this preacher was saying how, God was ready to make life better. And I just felt myself being, kicked out of that pew and run down to the aisle. And he thought I was there to get saved and whatever. And I tugged at his jacket and he said, "What can we do for you, sweet child?" And I said, "I want you to tell me how we wind up in the houses we wind up because I think God made a mistake and I'm in the wrong house." And he made the choir stop singing. He made everybody get quiet. And he repeated what I said. And he knelt down to where he was at my level. And he said, "Child, God doesn't make mistakes." He said, "You're going to need to know what you know." And I thought about that so many times. I did need to know this illness from every perspective possible. And because of that house, because of that dad, because of what I had the lived experience, I grew up to marry a hippie, a down and out 60s, stuck in the 60s hippie. And in retrospect, I can now say that he was so calm and sweet and soft-spoken, not scary like my dad, because he was stoned.
So
Totally stoned.
Here we go, creating a cycle of
Yeah.
living in a house with addiction, and now we're going to marry into addiction.
But I thought God had answered my prayers by sending me this man that wasn't going to hurt me. He wasn't going to raise his voice and scare me. And so it does create the survival techniques in people that they don't make the right decisions. We don't think rationally as family members because we've been in survival mode for so long that we are just trained to react and to fix and to make better and to lie and to, hide it. And I wore a mask that nobody in the community knew that my husband was bad to drink or smoke doobie. And that last year he was on this planet, he was at crack houses, buying cocaine.
Yep.
And nobody in the community knew that. I hid that very well.
Well, I think a lot of people think they're hiding it well. Some hide better than others.
It took a lot of work and energy, and our families spend a lot of time, trying to make it look different than it is. And I wish now that I knew what I knew now.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is that in my lifetime, I've had divine moments and defining moments. And my divine moments are the birth of my kids. My 2 daughters are amazing. I am so proud of both of them. And they were the divine moment. And there was another divine moment when God got them home safe to me. Because the last day Hippie was on this planet, he had spent all day at Lake Tillery. And they had skied all day. And we didn't have cell phones back then. He couldn't send me videos of them, a solemn skiing on the lake. But it was 10 o'clock at night, and they weren't home yet, and I was scared. It was July 27th, and it was hot, and I knew he probably drank a lot of beer that day. And I don't know what I was thinking, letting him have my 2 girls at the lake all day on a boat and drive home with a boat towed behind the truck. What was I thinking? But I remember when he pulled up and I got the girls out of the truck and he said he was going to go spend some time with his buddies so we could leave to go on vacation the next day. And if you can't beat them, you join them. And I was like, go, go, go. Have fun. I got to get my girls back. I was just so grateful to have the girls home.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And later on, that night, things did not end well for him. And I was in therapy later on, and I brought my journals in, and my therapist was looking at them. She said, "What's this number 6 you got written at the bottom of the page, Judy? What does that mean?" I said, "Lord, it's probably the devil chasing me." I said, "You know how us Baptists are," because I finally joined a Baptist church, let me tell you. And I said, "It's probably the devil chasing me. It's number 6. I don't feel good about it, but I write it at the bottom of every page when I journal." And she asked me, she said, "What time did he get those girls home that night?" And I said, "About 10:30. And she said, "What time did that crash happen?" And I said, "At 4:30. And she said, "That's 6 hours, Judy. I think God's trying to tell you what he gave you that night." And I have never been angry since then. I thought, oh my God, he did. He did get my girls home.
Yeah.
It could have ended so differently. I could have lost my whole
You
family.
could have lost everyone, absolutely.
How ungrateful of me. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And so from that day on, I started speaking in the community, and the CEO of Atrium heard me speak, and he was like, "Oh my God, you got to be a part of our behavioral health. Your perspective is so authentic. It's real.
Yep.
And will you come help me have behavioral health grow?" And that was in 1992.
Yep.
And
now look.
35 years later,
absolutely.
I'm still doing it.
I remember when I got Quentin dropped off at rehab, and I got him dropped off on a Sunday, and I was in family week starting Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Took the red eye home on Sunday night after I got him dropped off in Utah. And basically 2.5 days later, I was at your place, and I remember sitting in this room full of people. It was about to start a 3-day weekend, and I didn't know anyone, of course. I didn't know at the time. I knew nothing about addiction, absolutely nothing. And you were one row in front of me, and I remember you turned around and you introduced yourself to me, and that was the start of our friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think one thing that Blanchard has done a phenomenal job with is when you are thrown into the fire like that and you just don't even know how to breathe. You have no idea what's next in your life. For me, at that point, I'd been married 6 months. I had no idea if my marriage was going to make it. I didn't know what was next. But Blanchard and your team started to give me the tools to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And I think if you can go into it, even when you're a deer in headlights and you're so scared, but if you can go into it with the openness of wanting to learn this chaotic world, you have a chance to come out on the other side with peace. Mm-hmm. And your team does a really great job of teaching the tools that you're going to need to really walk this journey the rest of your life. And I think you guys do a really great job of encompassing the whole family. I remember on day 2 of being there, I was driving home and I called my dad, and I said everyone went around the room and introduced themselves and said why they were there. And there were 50 people in my class. Myself and one other gentleman were the only 2 people in our class that had spouses in a rehab center. Everyone else was a parent of a young child who had some kind of addiction issue. 48 out of 50, Judy.
That's amazing.
I'll never forget it. Like, I'll never forget that feeling of, I knew how this was something I knew nothing about and I had to figure it out. But I looked at those parents and I thought, they're never sleeping at night. They are never sleeping. They are trying to navigate this it's terrible. Like, and I started to learn so much when I was to a point where I could get to that side and help other people and try to talk with other families. But man, when you see that with what's happening with families and parents, and knowing that you guys are really there to kind of hold our hands in the dark moments, and start down that path. I'm grateful that places like Blanchard Institute exist, and I'm really grateful that we have one here in Charlotte, because you have been able to help so many people that I love dearly.
Losing the shame and the guilt, just knowing you're not alone, that there's other people that are going through the same thing you are, it's amazing. And everybody comes in there, I feel like they're there at that particular time with those particular people for a reason.
Yeah.
I think that you will hear something I said, or I will hear something you said that I need to hear today.
Well, here's something that I will ask you about. Addiction is scary. It's really scary for people to even admit it's going on. It's very scary for people to be able to look at friends and family that they love, that they're married to, that are raising their kids, whatever the scenario is, and say you have a problem. So what advice can you give to someone who's been wanting to make that call to a place like Blanchard or somewhere else to start that journey? Like, how can you help someone know that it's okay to call us and start those conversations? What advice do you give?
You have to treat it for the illness that it is. It's not a moral problem.
But what if someone
It's
looks
a
at it and doesn't even
compulsive-
realize it is an illness at that point?
Compulsive behavior comes in all forms. And if somebody's using a substance, or they're drinking too much, or they're spending money on credit cards that we can't afford to pay back,
Yep.
or they're eating too much or not eating enough. I mean, compulsive behavior, people do those things because they want to feel different than they feel.
Yeah.
And
they want to
teaching our
numb.
families to start trying to identify what are those triggers, what is the underlying, why do you feel like you have to drink? Why do you feel like you need this substance? And starting to really dig into, why somebody is doing what they're doing. It's to feel different than they feel. So we got to find out why they feel what they feel. Some people use when they're bored. Some people use when they're scared. Some people use when they're nervous or anxious. Oh, I can't get on the dance floor till I've had 6 beers.
Yeah.
You don't need to be on the dance floor after you've had 6 beers, is what you want to say. And so getting people to finally, you really do have to understand we're treating an illness. If you don't eat right and you have diabetes, you're going to get sick.
Right.
And you're going to have complications.
Yeah.
And so if you continue to drink at the point that you are drinking or using the substances, your health's going to get involved. Our relationship is going to suffer. Our kids are going to be impacted. Your job's going to be affected in some way. So this is where people start feeling okay about talking about it. When that happened to me, I was so ashamed and so embarrassed because of who we were. His brother was chief of narcotics in our county.
Wow.
And for him to die leaving a known crack house, you don't think that didn't have repercussions?
Yeah,
I was asked to
absolutely.
step down from my role as a Sunday school teacher for 10-year-olds because my husband was in a crack house. How dare you? That ticked me off. I almost said something. That ticked me off. And I started going to churches and I asked for the first 10 minutes of the sermon. And the preacher, because I was just really trying to find myself spiritually again. And I was like, stand up, hold up your hand, wave it in the air. I don't care. If you don't know somebody you haven't cried over or worried about or prayed for that suffers from using drugs or alcohol or they have a mental health disorder, stand up and let me meet you. I've been doing this a while now, and I'd like to meet somebody on this planet that hasn't been impacted. I am not alone.
Yep.
And our family members are not alone. Everybody knows somebody.
Every single
Everybody.
one of us.
We have all.
Yes.
And you need only turn on the news. It doesn't matter. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care that you're the head of a corporation or that you're a famous actor or actress or it doesn't care.
When you can rip off the stigma and the shame.
That's it.
Look, I'll tell you something. The night that my husband called me and told me he needed to go to rehab, he was at a show in Minneapolis. And he called and he said, I don't want you to say anything. I need to share something with you. And when he told me, I'll never, ever forget that moment. I was, in one half of me, I was so grateful and I was so proud of him telling me that, right?
Yeah.
But I was also beyond petrified because I had no idea what was next, right? 6 months we've been married, no idea what was next. But I told him, I said, we're going to figure this out together and we're both going to be okay. And then the thing that we said to each other before he got to rehab, we had a few days, we had some things we had to take care of. We both said that knowing that both of us had jobs and careers that had us in front of a lot of people.
Public.
Yeah, in the public a lot of times. We knew we wanted to get to the point where we could, well, we were transparent from day one, but we wanted to get to the point where when our healing began, we could help others as well. But we also shared the ugliest stuff that came with this. But I think when you can talk to people, like when I can talk to someone about addiction and the gut-wrenching side of it, as much as I can talk to someone about, oh my gosh, let me tell you what my dog did yesterday, right? Like that's when you know there doesn't need to be stigma with this, right? Like you can talk about this in a way that everyone around you can tell you, we're going to help you. This is going to be okay. You don't need to be shamed. You don't need to be embarrassed.
No.
And that is something that until the day I take my last breath, I will always be a proponent of talking about this, because addiction is around every single one of us somewhere. Someone might not be willing to tell you yet. It's in every family. It's in every family. It's in the friends. It's in the neighbors. It's in the coworkers. It's there. I love that you create a safe space where people can start to understand it. I think you have to understand the disease and get okay with it in yourself.
Yeah.
And then when you're there, you can start talking about this like if someone had cancer. You talk about the plan, you talk about the treatment,
Exactly.
You talk about everything that's going to go into helping that loved one figure out how to beat cancer. This is no different.
It's not
No different.
It is life. It's life-threatening.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But it is so rewarding when you find the answers and you put it in remission.
One of the best things that a place like Blanchard can do for a family is, with all the tools that are offered for someone that is an addict and for the family members, if you do the work, you can get to the side where a family can say, we broke the cycle. And that is the biggest win that anyone can have in this world of addiction. Because
that's it.
So many families have layer upon 5 generations back of addicts, right?
Yeah.
And then you're the one that says enough is enough is enough. And I'm going to stop this right now. Quentin says to me, nobody woke up one day and said, I want to become an alcoholic. No one woke up and said, I want to be a drug addict. Life happens. Things happen along the way, and then someone wakes up and it's time to fix this nightmare.
I'm so grateful. I've spent almost 10 years at Blanchard.
Yeah.
And I worry about aging out of the industry. I don't think so. I'll probably be doing this at 80 years old, Jen.
You know
somewhere.
what, Judy? I think you will, because unfortunately, I think we live in a world where you're in a recession-proof business.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. I wish you weren't, but I think you are.
I wish they didn't need us.
And but I'm so grateful that people like you wake up every day and figure out how you're going to help save another family.
You go to bed every night knowing you made a difference, at least with one person. Yes. You made a difference today. It might have been that phone call, might have been that person that was sitting out in the lobby, just madder than a wet hen, because here we are again. We've done this 3 times. It doesn't work. Let me help you out here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's try something different.
If you're someone that is listening or watching this one, and you think that someone that you love greatly needs help, reach out to the Blanchard Institute in Charlotte, North Carolina, and ask for Judy Goodwin, because she will be able to hold your hand and she will help you get on the path that your family might have so desperately needed for a long time. So thank you. Thank you for today. This was great. If you get a chance, go on our website, hoodhargetbreakfastclub.com, and give us a view, or go on to our YouTube channel, Breakfast Club Beat. And we will see you very soon.